and respond to. They have to say, you know, this is, we understand your problems here, and this is what we're doing to mitigate that problem, or this is why that problem isn't a real problem. So those are two of them. There's also a third option, which is an intervener status, and you'll see like Temecula, Safe Temecula is trying for intervener status. It doesn't work for us, in my opinion, because intervener status basically says if the project is canceled and defeated in the CPUC, then they will pay your lawyer fees. Well, you first have to pay the lawyer, and I don't think that we're, you know, sadly going to be able to bring up enough money. Temecula is saying they need $1 to $1.5 million to pay for the lawyer. I don't think we're going to be able to scrounge up that much money. Also, there's a risk involved. If we don't defeat the project in such a way to qualify us as defeating the project, then we won't get the reimbursement. And so that's a big gamble, I think. And also, it's years in the making. So you might have to float your lawyer's fees for 2 to 3 years before you would get reimbursement. So we've decided intervener is definitely not a status that we want to apply for as a group. But we are hoping that we can file a party protest and, you know, get a lawyer to help us with that. If not, we will definitely be filing as a party in the proceedings. Yes.
Just out of curiosity, can the protest be done pro per? If you can't find a lawyer, can you write it yourselves?
We
Have a lawyer.
we can definitely try to write it ourselves.
Yeah.
We have that as an option, where it's just such a more complicated document, and it is, you know, there is a judge that is looking over the proceedings and everything. It is a legal proceeding, and so there's just like the liability of trying to do it without the lawyer consulting.
Okay, but you know, like in a lawsuit, you can go to the court and you can actually look at an old copy of a similar document, download it, copy it without like cheating and recall if you have exact wording. Can we do that? Can we find one that worked before, use it for a sample?
So they give you samples on the CPUC website. However, those are not going to be specific to our
Right,
project.
right.
So we could use them as a template,
Right.
but it would be the arguments that we're trying to cite
Yeah.
for our specific project would be different. And that's where having the legal aspect of it to help us know exactly how to word our
Yeah.
dissent on something, or, you know, bring up a whole point that we didn't already know. The other thing that we have working in our favor is that we don't have to be the first ones to file our protest. So we could see some of the other protests that are filed. But we've kind of decided as a group that it's fairly risky to not have a lawyer that we're consulting with in order to file the protest. We can file the party status, we can still be at the table if we aren't able to find a lawyer, and we don't have the liability issues that come with trying to be the protest, because then you can be cross-examined, or, you know, like they can come to you and ask you to be a witness at a hearing and things like that. There's a lot more liability and legal things that are involved once you enter as a protest as opposed to just a party.
Plus, a nonprofit, I do not think can be an act for itself. Typically, corporations must be voted.
And that part, I don't, do you know that part?
Say that again,
Yeah,
sorry.
typically a person can act in pro per on their own behalf in court, but a corporation never has to have legal counsel. So that might be a hurdle.
Yeah, some of the documents that you referring to, when we spoke about it before, you know, they might cite something and then they're gonna say Roberts versus California. You know, it's documented, and we just don't have those resources to
Yeah.
read research that stuff. So we've gotta be really careful.
And we're talking 3,000 page documents that they're filing, so sifting through that and knowing how to properly cite which page and paragraph and everything is, you know, I wrote research papers in college, but haven't done that for 20 years, and I'm sure that a legal paper is a lot different than a research paper in college, so it just seemed a little intimidating to us. Yeah.
Are the legal proceedings being held at the county level or the state level?
They're actually being held at the CPUC, so everything will be, I think they do some in person up in Sacramento. Sometimes when it's a larger project like this, they will do proceedings that are local to have more of a community involvement. And sometimes they just do it virtually so that you just have to call in or do like a Zoom kind of thing. So we aren't really sure at this point what what kind of accommodations they're gonna do.
Yeah, we have to wait till they actually file. That's the trigger. And so, you know, that's gonna, we're trying to be prepared the best we can. When they do file, that window is a short window, we need to get that.
What type of lawyer are you looking for? I
So-
mean, because there's so many different types.
Right, and ideally somebody that is an environmental lawyer, and I found that there's even, you know, subcategories within environmental lawyers. Like we talked to somebody that was an environmental lawyer, but she only worked with 5G cell towers, and so she wasn't willing to help us because she's like, I don't know about electrical lines because I only focus on cell towers. So that's kind of the problem I found, is even people that handle that part of law still don't handle the part that we need.
The good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Okay.
Just out of curiosity, is there an opportunity that someone could go to like KUSI or the news and request help for us, find us a lawyer? I mean, do we have anybody representing the news that,
Well, funny you
to
should
get
bring
this
that up.
out there?
Okay. I'm gonna talk about it later, but
Okay.
an article in this morning's paper said they were Union Tribune, front page, because I wrote the article, about this project and how it's getting pushed back all the way along the route. And in that they showed the, SDG&E threw out a couple of route alternatives. Okay, so I reached out to the writer, and I was surprised he called me back. Okay, and he agreed, he's gonna do a follow-up article, and he agreed to meet with us, or meet with me anyway. And so at that time, I plan on really asking for their help, in the fact that we need a pro bono attorney to really help us do that. So he seemed receptive, and I'm surprised that he called me back. So,
To start,
no, that's right.
what about a GoFundMe page or something?
Well, GoFundMe, we went through that, you know, really, GoFundMe.
Does that conflict with the 501(c)(3)?
No. They
charges and surcharges.
they take about 30-some cents out of every dollar.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, and then an additional 0.29% something, so they take a huge chunk.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we learned it as well. We thought automatic, but no, it's not. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to add, maybe I missed it because I came in a little bit late. Did you talk about the California Environmental Quality Act review process at the CPUC? That there's kind of two processes at the Public Utilities Commission?
Right, so that, once they file for the docket, then we'll get all of those kind of information, like the CEQA for the environmental, the proposed routes that they're, and alternatives, that they're doing, all of that stuff will become, come out as they file, with the CPUC, so.
I just wanted to be clear that that process is a much more regular public participation process. Like, you don't have to have an attorney, it helps, but you don't have to have it.
Right.
There's no liability associated with commenting on the draft, on the scoping period, the draft environmental impact report, those documents. You can still totally engage in that process at the public.
And we intend to, for sure. Craig, any contact?
Yeah, I
was interested in the regulatory agencies and what they knew about this project, so I contacted California Department of Wildlife, the CBU office. We set up a meeting, and CPUC representative would like to attend. Oh, great, yeah, well, go ahead, we'll see, meet somebody from CPUC. So it was actually the project manager for this project. Yeah, he was describing that the application process is separate from someone. That the alternatives, like I think the new alternative that's on the website today, is for the application process, not necessarily for CEQA. We may have another one. The CEQA process probably, well, I just have general information from me. The CEQA process probably take 2 years to even get a draft approved by CPUC, and after that it might be recirculated, and then another circulation later. So public comment can happen. So I think it's going to be maybe 3+ years before we see a final CEQA comment on it. But during that time, CPUC, I never talked. I know they're a regular agency, but I think some people may think they have rubber stamp because they work together or whatever. But they seem pretty independent. So they have a lot of consultants of their own to vet certain things that SDG&E will in their super document and their studies that they will submit to the supporting documentation. So in general, it's a contact. I don't know how willing they would be to give us information if we asked for it, but I want to try. If we have questions asked in PCI, I'm going to see if we can respond. So I think it's going to be a long process before we have any final documents to comment on.
So basically, after the question, we're going to do everything we can to be involved in that process.
Okay.
Like, everything we can. Now, we are the smallest, the weakest link in this whole 145-mile route. But we will try to give a lot of mouth. We don't have the money, so all we do is shout.
There is a benefit to the length of time that it's taken to do that. I would intend to exploit, which is just that gives us more time to prepare, as well. So, they may be biding their time, but that just allows us to, pool our own resources too. So.
And then Justin, you had where Horizon West is
Oh
located.
yeah. One sec, sorry, I'll pull it back up.
It was somewhere in Colorado.
Yeah, well, this says subsidiary of Next Era Energy Transmission based in California and Florida, Brighton, Colorado, yeah, and Rockland, California. Wait, Horizon West.
Horizon West.
Yeah.
So they're Brighton, Colorado, and
Rockland, California.
And
That
Rockland,
says,
California.
well, the Rockland, California says health.
oh,
They actually have 4 different projects going on in California right now,
Oh, Lord.
under Horizon West.
wow.
That's on their website.
Yeah, that was that document we had to get, yeah.
Okay, so PKL, we're gonna roll right into place.
Oh, yeah.
An update on the species stuff?
Yeah, and I had asked, well, see, California Department of Fish and Life has jurisdiction over all species of habitat and natural drainages. If you want to impact it, you have to get serious permits, very extensive, and CEQA has to be done. And CEQA requires mitigation, to be considered mitigation like purchasing other land or revegetation or restoration. It'll be like a 10-year contract, but that's not to be restored. So a project this magnitude, I can't fathom how they would mitigate for the impacts of the clearance around the towers or under the power lines and on construction roads, permanent roads, and I just can't fathom it. So CDFW had met with SDG&E twice, and CDFW gave them their opinion of what resources we should touch or what should minimization measures or avoidance measures to use. So they left that conversation with SDG&E waiting for another alternative. So, like I mentioned, a lot of people saw that they posted another alternative on their website, which doesn't really help. It's not, still the route is along 79, and just This goes a different direction, a little south route through Borrego, Springs, and State Park. Let me mention where it was. So that Reg-Area City will be permitting all their actions and well, my opinion is I don't see how they would be able to mitigate it could cost them millions or millions of dollars. And I don't know if it's gonna stop them or not, but it's just, I will contact CDFW, as we go on to see if there's any more conversations or they can't move forward. So it's easy, we can't move forward with construction for Calvary without these permits, so. Yeah. And sequence we done, so. And, it's just a contact that I can check to see if anybody guys, maybe they can find out a little bit more about the design, because it's all preliminary scoping right now, so there's no real sighting other than that map on we saw online, which is kind of vague, so. It's for endangered species, we have like, I would say over 35 different species here along Route 79, so a lot of permits and a lot of mitigation if they continue with this proposed route. So, they probably have the money, I'm not sure, but it's gonna take a long time.
Yeah, more than we do.
Do you mind if I add to that? I should have introduced myself. I'm
You
Dave
should.
Hogan.
Who are you? I was gonna ask you.
Dave Hogan with the Chaparral Lands
Oh,
Conservancy.
okay.
And we're partnering with the Anti-Borrego Foundation to fight the line. So I just wanted to come and say hi and introduce myself to everybody. When I used to work for the Center for Biological Diversity in the early 2000s, I fought the Sunrise Power Line. So this is just coming back, this is the same fight again, the same project basically, Eastern Half. And, unfortunately they were able to mitigate that project. So they just go buy ranches, they restore habitat, they pay many millions of dollars, probably over $1 billion for it. They don't care. It comes from the ratepayers. So they're able to do that. And when the Public Utilities Commission makes the final decision, the likelihood is that they'll be able to do what's called a statement of overriding considerations. It's a legal term where they decide that the public benefit of the project outweighs the harm to the environment. So it doesn't even matter if you fully mitigate it. They just allow the project to go forward anyway. And ultimately, a lot of these state agencies, they have what, for appearance sake, is some independence. Like the CPUC staff, they're very independent. They're not being directed by SDG&E, right? But at the end of the day, they ultimately will be directed by the governor. The governor will tell the board, his appointees on the board, what to do, and he'll call California Department of Fish and Wildlife and say, this is what you're doing, you're approving the project. He'll call Parks Department, say you're approving the project or not. But that's where this will ultimately go. There'll be this whole complicated process, but what's actually happening behind the scenes is the governor will make calls. So whoever's going to become governor is going to be crucial for this project.
Great information.
Yeah,
Well, depressing information.
yeah. I don't mean to sound cynical, but it's exactly what happened in the Sunrise Power Line.
What's that, sir? What did you say?
I said it's all about them. I do have one question regarding the benefits outweighing. The benefits for who? The good of who the power lines can service?
They'll say,
Or is it for
the
the
goals of the project, reliability, renewable energy, grid congestion, alleviation, that'll be the greater good.
My
outweighs the
favorite-
harm.
My
Even
favorite
though-
part about, oh, go ahead.
sorry, even though, is it my understanding that this power line is not going to supply power for San Diego, it's gonna be for Orange County?
Correct.
So we have to sacrifice our land and beauty
Correct.
for Orange County. What's going on with Southern Cal
It's not
Edison?
even-
How
Not
come
even
they're-
Orange County, it goes to basically, San Onofre.
San Onofre, right.
And from there, it goes on to the LA basin.
Okay, so it's not gonna benefit us at all?
No,
not in this life.
So,
In the long run, it is going to benefit you. If it's going to be sent to the grid, which is the California grid, Everybody remember 1996? We lost 11 states of power. Everybody remember that? 11 states went down. Those were one was that I come from that. This 500 line that came out of Washington got heated because the temperatures went up there. SAG knocked them together to 500. So it relayed every relay in 11 states. It took 5 days to get all the power. But this is what they're trying to do. I'm totally against it, believe me. But I'm just trying to get my input, what you're trying to fight here. It's going through our land, but eventually it's going to come back and be our tide. The San Diego Gas and Electric lost, when they lost San Onofre with their power, they had to go elsewhere. I worked 7 months with San Diego Gas and Electric. That's how it ended up coming out of Arizona. He was fighting the Sunrise Power Link. I was there when all that was going on. They tried to reroute that through here. Remember that?
Well, Sunrise Power.
They tried,
Yeah, it's
they
the
tried to
same-
change
same
it. to come-
alignment,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's the same exact alignment. So my concern is getting rid of it altogether, like we discussed before. But you're fighting a big thing here. It's not just going to Los Angeles
Yeah.
and Orange County, it's going to the grid.
No.
We are part of the grid.
But nothing that I read said it actually goes to the grid. It goes like the grid, they're going
Well,
all
yeah.
right, right? Well, so,
Electricity's like what?
say it again?
If you need, it's like water. If we need more power or more water down here, Washington will send us power to help us with our load, especially in the heat situation. You're talking about the committee, which we wasn't there when I was there, because Edison had their own where they buy and sell electricity every day. Who needs electricity? It's all part of the grid. And the bigger the grid is, the problem is, we don't have enough power in the grid to even supply what we have.
Not to debate the whole thing right now, okay, because we don't have the time. But, I just kind of think, there's other technologies that might have been around, that might not have been around then, that are available to us now. And to me, stringing lines above ground is our path way to do that. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Thank you, though, for your input.
But transmission is that's the only way you're gonna move it. You can't move it.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Alright, so you mentioned in '96, right, this massive power outage was caused by one of these lines. So there's irony in the idea of trying to solve the problem with the problem, right? That's where I'm coming from. It just doesn't make any freaking sense. And furthermore, they have not stated an end user. And grid stability, yeah, that's all well and good if the grid ever extends out to us eventually down the line somewhere, but we don't need that. We don't have that power draw. Half of us are installing solar anyhow, so the grid, they end up sending me a check every year because I produce too much, right? And whether you have solar or not, our energy needs out here are minuscule. So we don't need to rely on the grid from that in terms of if they're gonna, we don't get a benefit from it at all. We're serving as a means for them to push out power somewhere else. And yeah, it stabilizes the grid, that's what they're gonna say. But there's no offshoots to us, and there won't be for any in the foreseeable future. None. So until they state an end user, there's no guarantee that we're gonna benefit from this whatsoever. And
Okay, very small. Okay. Thank you, though. Thank you. Very good. Okay. Mr. Jackson, make yourself look tall.
Social media. We're trying to connect with maybe about 10 different Facebook pages that include Palomar Mountain, Anza Borrego, Temecula, Ranchita, Chihuahua Valley, Stone Ridge, and of course Greater Warner Springs. And We're just trying to put up any information that we can that's related to the project. If we see something good, we try to share it. Our main Facebook page is called Save Warner Springs. And that's where our core information is. I got this covered, Justin, no worries. So if you ever have anything that you see that's out there floating around on the internet, please post it to share on Save Warner Springs and any other sites that you see. And essentially, people are putting up inquiries like, hey, I need some more letters. So people are starting to message me. So people in the community are engaging. Hey, where can I get more signs? They're asking questions. Some people say, how come I didn't hear about this meeting? Well, it's on the very source that they found that they missed. So that's why we're recording the meetings as well, because there's just a small group of people here, but Warner Springs is a greater community. And some people have been able to look at the videos from past meetings and past events and get a little bit out of it. So I hope we're not violating anyone's privacy. Our goal is just to share the information that we're gathering and try to carry with transparency every step of the way forth to the community. So that's the first thing, is we're working on the social media angle because that's free. The second angle is we're going to work on a website. And in that area, I'm really good at buying a domain and a domain package, but I'm finding it's a little bit more complicated putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. So I asked the community if anyone has a person in their awareness that's really good with the website design. We could certainly use some help, because as this group is moving more from just being a ragtag group of concerned citizens to more of a nonprofit group, we need a better face fronting page. So we're trying to put that together right now, but I encourage anyone that has any contributions or photos, send me your high resolution JPEG images, those things. And if you know of a certain person who's very experienced in website design, we'd certainly like to talk to him, because we want to do the best that we can in our communication campaign. So, yes?
That's what my daughter does.
Well, gosh, we'd sure like to get to know her.
Well, unfortunately, she lives in Boston, but I can ask her.
That would be wonderful. It doesn't matter if they're local or not. It just matters that there's somebody that is trustworthy and that's someone that we can share our vision with, and they can take the bits and pieces. We have bits and pieces of a puzzle. We just want to put it in the best format possible. Because, it's one thing to build a website for a desktop. It's another one to build one for a phone. And now everybody's using their phone, so whatever we put out there has to be amenable for both formats.
And maybe she can set up a skeleton where somebody else locally that's involved in the group or whatever can update it, keep it updated, so it doesn't
However it
overwhelm
gets from
her.
point A to point B, I
Right.
don't know anything about that.
We really appreciate your consideration, though.
I talk to her all the time.
Here's my phone number, and feel free to call me
Okay.
so that we can follow up on that. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Yeah, again, this is why we're trying to open up this meeting and before. We need your help. Bottom line, we need your help. And I guarantee you, you're smarter than I am. And I don't know about Megan or some of these others. She's pretty smart. But we could use your assistance in setting this stuff up. Okay? We're a ragtag group, like Mike said. We've been meeting in my house for a month or so. And so we could use your help. Any resource you have, don't discount it. Let us know.
Understood.
What's your first name?
It's Bill.
Bill, thank you, Bill. Okay. Mike.
Tell us about that donation bin over there, Bob.
Well,
Nice to know you, Box.
so we, the group, all agreed that we would chip in $50 each, and our checks are in there, and we're asking the community to help us whatever you can to put in the box, and we're going to start pushing that a little bit more, because the expenses, just organizing and becoming a corporation, and then other startup expenses, a little more than we thought they would. So we could use the community's help, whatever you can, for the box. So that box starts showing up more and more often. So that's what it's for, Mike. Thank you. Okay. Mike, you're done? Okay. Any questions for Mike? Bill.
You take checks?
Dan, take
Apple Pay.
Put your credit card in, I'll.
We aren't set up for Apple Pay yet, but we're working on Venmo and things like that as well, once we have our account set up.
Because we need our checking account, right?
Right, right.
We're just waiting for the EIN.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you get the
And then
EIN.
we're ready to go.
Wouldn't checks be made out payable to Save Warner Springs?
Absolutely.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Good point. Okay, data, technology, Harrison, anything to report?
Honestly, not much. I've just been helping. I'm a third of the communications team involved in Lori and Michael over there, and we are just the social media front, so we manage that. In particularly, I started a small Instagram where I'm trying to get more of a broader or a wider lens on us. Maybe get people who are. My goal is to try to get hiking groups and different people who like to come out here, who enjoy Warner Springs, and just try to raise awareness not only to the community, because to begin with, the majority of our community doesn't use social media. So I'm really trying to go from a different angle of just trying to spread the word about Warner Springs and get people involved in that. So that's all.
Now, it is a challenge, I realize how many people, how many seniors don't do Facebook or anything. Oh, what do you mean, you,
I got rid of that when it got too political.
But you can get on it just for our page.
Yeah, that's a different deal.
Right,
I have family back in Ohio, so it was like to communicate with them, and then all of a sudden it was
yeah.
a lot of info I didn't want to hear,
But
so I just dumped it.
That becomes our primary way of communicating.